couple of times, but hopefully it should continue now. Thanks for the warm welcome. It's a joy to be with you guys. I know a lot of people in DBF Gurgaon Church, so I'm excited to see you and to interact with you this way. If you're joining us for the first time to a session like this, we want to welcome you. We are so glad you could join us. If your friend has invited you, we are so happy that you could come and even talk about something that's very important, vital for us, right? Let me just begin with some of the things that I've sensed in my life, even in my own marriage, even in the way I grew up, and why this is very relevant for me, right? So one of the things that I've seen with in my life is me and my brother. We are very close friends, right? Me and my brother is 3 years younger to me. We're very close friends. We play a lot, but one thing we notice is both of us when we watch movies together, and when there is an emotional scene, or there's some there's a scene where it's want to make you cry or something, both of us we will not look at each other. we we will look at the ceiling, right? And I don't know what he would do, but even if it's really emotional and the tears are coming, right, because it's touching you, right? And I would usually look up the ceiling, right? I'll watch the movie like this, right? And so that hopefully the tears will go back inside. It doesn't want to come out, right? That's the way we grew up, me and my brother, right? We're good friends. I mean, we are still in touch with each other. We do, but that's the way we grew up, right? Now, when I got married, I'm married now 15 years. June it's going to be 16 years. One thing I noticed when I got married is my wife Deepa. She would always ask me this question, right? She would ask me, Ranjit, do you love me? Right? Well, initially it was very cute. I mean, I thought, okay, honeymoon, yeah, of course, yeah, I love you. And I would say, I love you to the moon, I love you to the star universe, all that stuff. But I'm like, dude, after 1 year of marriage, she would still ask me. After 5 years of marriage, she would still ask me, do you love me? Right? Do you love me? Right? This is a question that would constantly keep coming in our marriage, right? And I would get annoyed. And after a while, I would just be like grunting, right? I'm like, I'm not answering this question. I'm like, oh, yeah, right? That's the maximum I would say, right? But what? But the question changed in a season. Expecting our first child. Deepa was expecting. We were having our first baby, and the question changed. Right? Deepa would not ask me, Ranjit, do you love me? She would ask me, Ranjit, are you excited about the baby? Right? She would ask me, are you happy? Are you excited? I'm like, man, of course I'm excited. I mean, I can see the morning sickness, I can see the mood change, I can see all these kinds of things, the vomiting. I'm very super excited about the baby, right? But she would always ask me the question, and I never really understood why is she asking me this. Why is she constantly asking this? My brother never asked me this. My brother would never ask me, Ranjit, do you love me? These conversations I've never had with anybody. Why is my wife asking this, and why is the question changed? We're going to have a baby. She's asking, are you excited? Right? So these are some common things, simple things, but common things we see in marriages and relationships, right? Just to kind of move the conversation further, right? And I realized when my mother passed away in 2017, right? And she passed away after a long illness for 7 years. She was bedridden. It was kind of a difficult period for us, right? And I was in Delhi. My brother was living in a different. He was in another country. My dad is in Chennai. So we're all in different places, and my dad is taking care of my mom. But for 7 years, we never spoke about our mother. We never discussed. Me and my brother, we will never talk about my mom, right? Me and my dad, we will never talk about talk about our mom. We will talk about the bed, hospital bed. We will talk about medicines. We'll talk about doctor. We'll talk about nurses. We'll talk about everything that needs to be done, but we will never discuss about our mom, right? My mom passed away. We've still not discussed, right? We've not talked about our mother, right? Um, so sometimes things like this happen, and now I see. If you face this, but I live in Delhi, so I have to call my dad. My dad lives in Chennai. He's alone, especially during COVID and all that. So I call him. I try to call him once in 2 weeks or something just to check on him. Uh, and usually this is how the conversation goes, right? When I call my dad, right? I'll be like, when he picks up, or I usually call. He doesn't call. I usually call, right? So I call him. How are you? Are you doing okay? He's like, yeah, okay. The first question I ask is, did you eat? Right? Did you eat? He's like, yeah, I ate. Then he'll ask the next question. How are the kids? Yeah, kids are fine. Yeah, kids are okay. Are you okay? Any fever? You okay? No, I'm okay. What about you? Yeah, I'm okay. How's church? He'll ask me, how's church going? Yeah, church is good. Okay. After we run through these 4-5 questions, we don't know what to talk, right? Me and my dad will be like on the phone trying to figure out what the heck, what am I supposed to talk here with my dad, right? And then we go on, we expand the conversation. Like, okay, how is the auntie doing? Is she doing okay? Oh, she's okay. How is this? Is he okay? Yeah, he's okay. Okay, everybody's okay. All right. After a while, we know it's done. Our father-son conversation is over, right? So I'll be like, okay, Dad, I'll call you later. He'll be like, okay, fine, and then we'll keep the phone on, right? This might be this might be familiar to you, right? Why is this? What is wrong here, right? What went wrong, right? Why am I not able to connect with my dad? Why is my dad not able to connect with me? Why am I not able to connect with my wife, right? And after marriage, and when I have kids, I've got 3 children now. My daughter is 13. And my son is 10, and my another son is 6. So I've got this range. I want to be a good father. I want to be able to connect with my dad. I don't want to be talking to my kids like I'm talking to my dad. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be like, how are you? How is auntie? I don't want to be doing this talk. I want to talk with my kids. But how? What do I do? I don't know, right? So maybe these are things you are experiencing, right? Maybe you feel like you're not able to connect with your spouse. Maybe you feel a little distant from your spouse. Maybe these are questions your wife is asking you if you're married. Maybe these are questions, these are sentiments you face if you're a son or a daughter you're facing with your own parents. Maybe you're raising children and you feel you don't want to be distant. You want to have a good relationship with your children. Maybe even with your friends, right? You want to be able to have deep friendships, right? Have you noticed another thing? I don't know if you noticed this, right? Have you noticed uh, the ability to make friends exponentially decreases after college? Have you thought about this? I don't know if you've thought about this, right? If you actually think, if you're honest, and if you think about it, for majority of us, who are our friends? Our friends are basically people from school and college. That's it, right? We don't make friends. We cannot make friends, especially men. Men cannot make friends. After college, that's the end. After that, it's a steep decline. Your ability to make friendships declines, right? So if you want to look up your friends now, even now, I connect. When I call, I connect with my school friends, right? I look at my school photos. Why is that? Why is that? Why is it hard to make friends, right? All right. This is what we're talking about, right? We're going to be talking about some of these things. Why is this happening, right? Maybe it has to do with how you were raised. Maybe you were raised in an atmosphere at home where maybe this is strange for you, right? Maybe you have a wonderful relationship with your friends, you have a wonderful relationship with family. That's wonderful, but you don't know what is the connection. What is this? What's happening that's good about your relationships? Maybe you don't have these kind of good relationships. So you're asking, why am I not having these things? Right? So maybe you've been raised in an atmosphere where you're encouraged, right? Where you're appreciated, where you're loved and you're cherished. Maybe that's the atmosphere you grew up in. But a lot of us grow up in an atmosphere that is very strict, especially with Indian parents, right? It's very strict. Your dad is working. I mean, you never speak to your dad. You're probably neglected all your childhood, right? Maybe you're raised in an atmosphere where there's a lot of competition. Maybe you're raised in an atmosphere in an environment where there's comparison, constantly compared to other kids, your cousins, people in class, or neighbors. You're constantly wanting to be loved by your parents, but that you're so strict that you're so scared to go to them. Maybe you're raised in a hostel, right? I see this very common in Delhi. When people move to Delhi, they're probably raised from the age of 5. They've been in hostel all their life, and you don't know how to connect with your parents. Maybe your dad traveled a lot. Maybe one of your parents was sick for a long time. Maybe you've grown up with financial trouble, right? Maybe there was a divorce in your family. There could be all kinds of reasons for why certain things happen in our lives. But today I'm going to focus in on one aspect which you can actually deal with, and that is to do with your emotions. All right. The reason why I talked about certain things with my brother, with my wife, with my children, with my dad, with my friends. Why am I still friends only with my school, and why it's hard to make new friends? Why is all these things? All this can be clubbed under this broad heading of how is my emotional health? Okay. So this is where I'm going to introduce the topic. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to go through some things, and at the end, I'm going to give you some practical tips on how to kind of apply some of these things. All right. So let me just share my screen as we begin this. All right. Solomon, is it okay? You guys able to hear me? Everything is fine?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you. All right. Firstly, right, I'm gonna begin with the basic thing. Human beings are emotional beings, right? And maybe you don't believe in the Bible, maybe you've not read the Bible, but we are kind of basing this on what Scripture has to say, right? The Bible says that God created us as emotional beings. God created us in the image of God Himself, and because God is an emotional being, He's spirit. He's not like humans. But He has emotions. So when He created man and woman, He created them with emotions. And that's why we are emotional beings, right? We are made in the image of God. So we are created with all kinds of emotions. We are created with joy and happiness and even sadness and disappointment, anger, fear, anxiety, worry. All these are emotions. And just a quick note on this, right? A lot of times we as a culture we differentiate emotions as good and bad emotions, right? What are good emotions? Joy, happiness, peace, right? Excitement. All these are good emotions. What are bad emotions? Oh, bad emotions: sadness, disappointment, grieving, right? Anger. These are all bad emotions. So we put them as good and bad. So which means what emotions are you supposed to have? Only the good emotions, right? When there's a bad emotion, we run from it. We don't want this, right? So I'm gonna very quickly. I want you to understand we are not going to talk about good and bad emotions. I think that's the wrong way to look at emotions. All these emotions are part of you, right? It's not good and bad. I would put it in a different way. I would put it as positive and negative, right? For example, right? Let's say a bad emotion. Sadness is a bad emotion according to our culture, right? And so we say don't be sad. Whereas, let's say you have somebody who's passed away. I mean, in COVID, somebody you lost a loved one. What are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to just be happy? No. In that sense, if you've lost a loved one and you're happy, there's something wrong with you, right? You need to experience some sadness for the loss. So there, sadness is actually a good emotion, right? So we should not look at emotions as good and bad. We should look at emotions as positive and negative. And we have all these emotions because we are made in the image of God, right? All right. Having said that, what is the purpose of emotion? I'm going to give you two purposes for emotions, right? There's a lot of purposes. I'm going to highlight on two key purposes. One purpose of emotion is to help us relate or connect with each other, right? One purpose of emotion. Why are we emotional? What's the point of emotions? Well, one purpose of emotion is to connect, is to relate with one another, right? When we say connect, we mean sharing a heart in a deep and meaningful way. Connecting is more than knowing somebody, right? It's not just knowing something. It's not just observing something, but it is an ability to be able to enter into somebody's experience and to understand them in a very intimate way, to kind of know what is going on. Emotions help us connect in that level, right? To connect with another person means you are fully engaged in the experiences of the other. And emotions are a big part in which you will actually be engaged in the experience. Okay, right. I'm gonna give you an example, right? So this is not my school photo, but this is a photo of a class reunion, right? And I just watched a movie recently about this guy who has a reunion after 20 years of his class. And the whole movie is about this reunion. There's a lot of movies about this nowadays, because of WhatsApp groups and all that. We're all still connected with with school and college friends, right? We have great memories. It's nostalgic, right? There's something nice about it. We want to be able to connect with our school friends. There's a deep connection, right? That kind of connection, it is hard to experience with your work colleagues, your neighbors, or people you meet today. It's very hard. There is some deep connection that's happened in school and college days, right? And that is one reason why it's hard to make friendships after college. It's because we are not able to connect like that. So in some way, what is happening, there's something very beautiful that happens in school and college, right, where the relationship is very genuine, the relationship is very honest, you're very open, you're transparent, right? You're very you're connecting with each other in a very genuine, in a selfless way, right? You're not using anybody. You're not trying to move up the career ladder. You're not trying to make networking and connection. No, that's not the reason why you are friends in school, right? It doesn't matter if the guy is poor or rich or what caste he's from or what language. It doesn't matter. We're all friends, right? So in some way, emotions help us connect. And the reason why, and I'm going to talk about the reason why we are not able to connect, is because for some reason as adults, we are not dealing with our emotions well, right? Uh, so emotions help you connect. That's one reason. Second purpose of emotion is to communicate what and how much things mean to you. Emotions communicate value, right? I want you to think about this. Emotions communicate value. The greater the value, the greater the emotion. Okay? Emotions point to what you love. The greater you love something, the greater the emotion associated with that. Okay, let me give you an example, right? Let's say somebody hits a thumb, right? They hit the thumb in a door. They jam the thumb. It's hurting, right? Even as I say it, yeah, somebody jams the thumb, right? But let's say your best friend, your friend, or your parent, or your child, or your somebody you know, and they jam their finger, right? Oh man, you feel the pain. You feel it in some way. When a stranger happens, you're like, oh, yeah, you're just moving on. The greater you love someone, the greater the emotion you feel. The greater you value something, the greater the emotion. Are you tracking me? So emotions reveal what is important to you. Okay. So next time, just a quick side thing, right? This week, next time, or even last week, think of the time when you had a heightened emotion. Think of the time when you got super angry. Think of the time when you got super happy. Think of a time when you were really sad. What is that? There's something of value behind it. Okay, it's caused because there's something valuable behind it. It is revealing something that's valuable, right? Let me give you a few examples, right? For example, nice Audi car. Delhi loves their cars, and there's no scratch in this car. But for some reason, let's say you marked a scratch in the car. You know what happens in Delhi? If you scratch a car, you know what happens in Delhi? They will kill you. They're gonna come and they're gonna hit you. They're gonna do all kinds of stuff to you, right? Why? It reveals what people value, right? Emotions reveal what they value. The greater you value something, the more the emotion you're going to express. Okay, and I'm not saying what you value is right and wrong. We're not going to talk about that. You might be valuing something like a car and have a great emotion, but you may look at orphan kids on the street and have no emotion, right? So I'm not saying your value, your emotion is right. I'm not saying those things, but I'm helping you understand the reason why there's an emotion, greater emotion, is because there's something you value a lot. Okay, let's look at another example. Here's our buy uh, super buy, right? There are some people, let's say you make fun of some people, man alive, you're dead, right? You're dead. I mean, he had an issue with the singer, right? I forget the singer's name, a famous singer. What's the singer's name? The somebody, you guys remember the famous Arjit Singh, right? He kind of got into the wrong. He did something on stage, and Salman didn't like it. And Salman said he's not going to sing in my movies at all. He banned it, right? There are some people. There are some people. There are some people. You make fun of them, right? You make fun of them. You make fun of their hair. You make fun of their dress. You make a joke. They are laughing with you, right? They are laughing. They don't care, right? Whereas there are some, you make a small joke about them, you say something about, they get very angry, right? Why is that? There's something they value. The emotion reveals something they value. Maybe Salman values his image, his name, his image. That is so important. So anybody who attacks the image, he'll get very angry. You see what I'm saying? So your emotions reveal what you value. Okay, let me give another example. Some people are very nervous in their exam, right? I've had friends who I used to teach my classmates math, and after we go to tuition, they'll all come to my house. We used to sit and I used to teach again, do the same thing again, right? And I used to have a friend, right? His name is Bhaskar, right? Very close friend. Right? He's doing actually well, doing extremely well. But he used to come to my house, and I will be preparing and for my math and thermal and engineering and thermodynamics and all these. I'd be preparing, and he'll come and he'll be like, Ranjit, teach me five things, right? He'll like, teach me five sums, right? So I'm like, I'll be pouring my heart. I'm like, dude, you've got to learn this. Exam is tomorrow, and I'll be pouring my heart to teach him. Within half an hour, he'll be like, Ranjit, enough. That's enough. I don't want to learn anymore, right? That's it, over. I am like scared for him, right? For me, I'm scared of the exam. I'm like, dude, you have to study. Please let me teach you something else, right? He's like, no, I don't want anything, right? There are some who are so nervous about exams, but there are some who don't care about exams at all. Why is that? Why is that? Emotions reveal something you value. Maybe deep inside you want to excel. Maybe you want to win. You want to prove something, and so the emotions come out, right? Emotions reveal what you value. Okay, so here's the thing, right? And I'm just summarizing these 2 points, right? Emotions help you connect. Emotions reveal what you value. See, emotions are a pathway to connect with somebody. Emotions are a pathway. Emotions are a pathway to connect with somebody's heart. Emotions are a pathway to know what is in their heart. Emotions are a pathway to understand what they value. Emotions, that it is important. Emotion, that's why there are emotions. So when you ignore emotions, you are ignoring their heart. You're ignoring what they value. You are not paying attention to what's important to people. You see what I'm saying? All right. As a culture, right? I tell you, as a culture, we don't deal with or share emotions well in our culture. I don't know, have you thought about this? In our culture, let's say my kids fight, and I have two boys, and they fight a lot. They begin to fight a lot. They begin to fight like with the hitting and scratching kind of fighting, right? They fight, and one guy comes to me and he's crying, right? He's crying, he's upset. What do I tell him? Stop crying. What's the first thing? As a parent, what do we tell? Stop crying, right? Stop crying. Go to your room. Go to your room and cry. Right? This is what I said. I don't want any crying here. Go to the room, right? Have some quiet time or something. Go there, right? We don't. right? Growing up, if you are sad or if you're crying, you probably got even another hit, right? Why are you crying? Another shot in the bum only, right? This is how we grew up. This is how parenting is done, right? There is no room for emotion, right? Do not bring emotions to the table, right? Deal with it alone, and then you come and be logical. As a 5-year-old, you better be logical when you're talking to me as a parent, right? No room for emotions, right? In fact, and I want to address the men, because see, this is a tough topic for men actually, right? And I'm glad if you join. I'm glad men have joined this, because it's an important topic, right? Uh, have you thought about this as men? The only acceptable emotion. Tell me. I want to just ask you, right? What is the only acceptable emotion for men? Tell me. What do you think? What is the only acceptable emotion for men? Yeah, who's this? Solomon, you're the one who's organizing. You can't tell the answer. The only acceptable emotion is anger, right? As men, if somebody is sad, if my friend is sad, I'm like, dude, what are you sad? Why are you sad? But if a guy is angry, I understand. Anger is acceptable for men, right? Sadness is not. Grieving. What are you grieving? You're grieving? Why are you no, right? So as a culture, we are creating men who can only express anger. That's the only acceptable emotion for anger. When a man is angry, we know he's okay. When a man is sad, when a man is grieving, when a man is disappointed, we are like, there's something wrong with the man, right? That's the culture. It's a wrong way of looking at it, and we wonder why. We wonder why men are not able to treat their wives well. They're not able to treat their children well. We wonder why there's so much anger and abuse in the family. We wonder why, because that's the way we raise. That's the way we raise boys. That's the way we raise men in our culture. Right? So we don't deal with emotions well, right? Let me give you uh, another example, right? The way we look at emotions is this way. We look at it as useful versus emotional. Okay, have you thought about this? We look at emotion as not emotion. We look at, is it useful or is it emotional? Which is better? It's a dichotomy. We believe in this false dichotomy. Let me give you a simple example, right? Uh, let's say somebody somebody uh, I mean, just an example, right? Let's say somebody you love, your friend has lost somebody in their family, right? And this has happened to me, right? And that's why I'm thinking about that, right? And somebody's lost their loved one, your best friend, and he's sad and he's grieving, and you're going to their home, right? And you as a guy, right? I'm generalizing this, but let's say you're going to their home, and let's say you're given an option. There are two options they give you. One option is, hey, sit with your friend, right? Sit with your friend. The second option is, go to the airport and pick up the family members who are coming. You need to do 10 trips back and forth to the airport. What will you choose? What will you choose? We will choose the airport pickup. We will immediately go. You know why? We say, I want to be useful. But I'm realizing, one of the best things I could have done for my friend that time was to sit with him. You know what I'm saying? Others can actually go to the airport, but my friend needs me to sit with him. But in some weird way, in our culture, in our mind, we have this dichotomy. We say emotional, no, useful, yes. So we pit usefulness against emotions. And any day we will choose usefulness, right? Because we think emotions are, why? Emotions are what? Useless, right? You know why we think emotions are useless? Because emotions don't matter, because they don't have monetary value. You know what we say? Instead of wasting your time crying, you know what we say? Instead of wasting your time crying, you better do something. And I understand there are times you have to do something. I understand that, right? But even the language we use is, emotions are a waste of time. Don't waste your time with emotions, right? It doesn't produce any value. It is not important. It is useless. Okay. And guess what? We bring all this into our relationships. We bring all this baggage into our marriage. We bring all this into the way we parent. Okay. And we wonder why are we not able to connect, right? Why? Because we do not think about emotions at all. My friend, emotions are the pathway to connect. And as people, if we ignore emotions, if we don't deal with emotions, we are cutting off the connection. This is God-given connection. We are cutting it off. And as men, if you cannot deal with it, if you cannot engage with emotion, you are cutting off intimacy in relationships, in friendships. Right? The reason why we feel distant with our spouse and children, and even friends, even your parents, the reason why we feel distant with our spouse, children, all kinds of relations, is because we are emotionally disconnected and unengaged. You want the secret. This is the secret. This is the secret. You know why we are not able to talk to our children? We are emotionally disengaged. You know why we cannot really go on a date with our wife and talk to our wife, your own spouse, your wife, your husband? You know why we can't spend time together chatting? We are emotionally disconnected. We are unengaged. You know why we can't talk to our parents? Well, because they were probably emotionally disconnected with us, right? You see what's happening here? Right? The secret to deep connection in relationships is not to suppress or ignore your emotions, but learning to engage. We've got to learn to engage with emotions. Right? Growing up, we've always been taught to suppress. We've always taught to hide our emotion. You might be sad inside, but you should be happy on the outside. Right? Don't cry. Right? I remember, and I hate using this example, but when we got married, uh, Deepa would cry. Right? I grew up with a brother. Right? We cry when we beat each other up. Right? Cry in the sense we fight and we'll cry. I mean, that's so when I would see when we get into an argument, Deepa will immediately cry. She'll be crying. Right? And this is what I would tell her. Right? Hopefully, I don't know if they're recording this, but anyway, I'll tell her, Deepa, go to the other room and cry. I say, go to the other room and cry. I don't want any crying here, right? If you want to talk, we can talk. No. Crying means you go to the other room, right? Go somewhere else, far away from me and cry, right? Horrible. What a horrible husband, right? What a horrible husband. Because I don't know how to engage with emotion. I don't know what to do with crying. I don't know what to do when people are sad. That's why I want to go to the airport and do something else. I don't know what to do when emotions happen. And then I wonder, why is Deepa asking me, Ranjit, do you love me? Ranjit, do you love me? Why is she asking me, right? Because I'm not emotionally connected. Right? I hope you're tracking, right? The secret to deep connection relationships is not to suppress or ignore emotion, but to engage with emotion, right? All right, let's keep moving. Allow yourself to be deeply connected and to be touched emotionally. Okay, allow yourself to be to connect deeply and to be touched emotionally. There is a lack of emotional connection expression communicates a lack of love. You know why? You know why Deepa kept asking me, "Do you love me?" Because a lack of emotional connection actually communicates a lack of love. That's why she's asking me. She's asking me. When we had the baby, you know why she kept asking me, Ranjit, are you excited? Are you happy about the baby? You know why she's asking me? Because a lack of emotional connection. I'm not showing emotion. I'm not dealing with emotion. I'm not engaging emotionally. So she needs to ask me and say, are you happy about the baby? Are you happy about the baby? A lack of emotional connection and expression communicates a lack of love. I'm not saying you don't love your wife. I'm not saying you don't love your spouse or your husband. I'm not saying you don't love your children. No, I'm not saying that. But a lack of emotional connection communicates that to your children, to your spouse, to your parents. to people, to your friends. A lack of emotional connection communicates this. A lack of emotional connection and expression has a corrosive effect on relationships over time. It'll corrode your relationship over time. You know why couples after 20 years stop talking and live in separate bedrooms and don't meet each other? You know why? Lack of emotional connection slowly corrodes the relationship to that point. You know why me and my dad can't make 5 sentences on a phone conversation? Lack of emotional connection. We can't. That's the way it is. It corrodes the relationship. You know why you sometimes feel you are not connected with God? You're not able to connect with God. You know why you feel distant with God? Because you don't bring your emotions before God. You don't bring your heart before God. You are not honest with God. We leave our sadness there and we come and keep raising hands and worshiping, and we think why I can't experience, why God is somewhere else. Well, your heart is somewhere else. Right? We see many couples in which one spouse complains of just not being loved, feeling loved. The other often responds with a lengthy list of evidence of true love shown to the first, helping to raise children. Right? This is what we say. Well, I'm helping you to raise children. I'm bringing income to the family. I'm spending time together on vacations. Gifts have been given and so on. Almost invariably, the root of the problem isn't with the list, but with a lack of emotional connection. A failure to genuinely share experiences from the heart. You might be doing all these things. You might be giving gifts. You might be going on vacations. You might be spending time together. You might be you're helping raise children. You might be washing dishes in the kitchen. You might be cooking. You might be doing all this as a couple, but there's no connection. You know why? It is not with the things, but it's with the lack of emotional connection. I'm going to give you 4 simple ways to help you connect. Okay, first, here it is. Okay, here are the 4 things, and I'm done after this. First thing, the simple thing is cultivate curiosity in relationships. Okay, cultivate curiosity. When you see your spouse sad, when you see your spouse silent, and not just spouse, your child, somebody in your team, your workplace, somebody, your friend, whatever, right? Any relationship. When you see somebody slightly out of character, a little sad, or maybe they are happy, they're excited about something. Cultivate the curiosity to know what is happening. Ask some questions. Hey, why are you're looking sad? Why are you sad? What's happening? Is everything okay at home? Hey, you look so happy today. What's happening? What happened? Tell me what happened, right? When your child is a little sad, when your child is crying, don't say stop crying. Ask, have curiosity. Ask, hey, what happened? Why are you crying? Why are you sad? Cultivate curiosity in relationships to understand emotion, because emotion is pointing to something they value, and you want to connect with them. It is through that emotion. So when the emotion comes, don't dismiss the emotion. Cultivate the curiosity to ask what's happening. Okay. Second, when you want to really deeply connect, show empathy, not sympathy. Empathy. Sympathy is, oh, you're not well. Okay, I'll pray for you. I'll pray for you. That's sympathy. Sympathy, oh, you're not well. Oh man, I'm so sorry. Oh, I feel so bad. Okay. Sympathy is sending one Facebook message and WhatsApp message. That's sympathy. Sympathy is, oh, you are down in the hole. Oh, you are down there. You're somebody fell into the hole. You're down there. Oh man, must be really hard. Okay. I'll try to get some help. That's sympathy. Learn to show empathy in relationship. Empathy is you are going into the hole with that person and sitting with them. That is empathy. Empathy is coming down to the place where the person is and feeling their emotion, right? If somebody has lost a job, if somebody has lost somebody in COVID, if somebody is sick and they are afraid, don't say, don't worry, nothing will happen. Symptoms are mild, nothing will happen. God gives, God take away. God, all purposes, God, everything works for good. Don't say all this nonsense, right? Feel the pain. curiosity, cultivate curiosity, feel their pain. That's empathy. When you feel their pain, you are connecting emotionally. Try doing it with your children. You will connect with your children, right? All right, third, express honestly. Hey, when you're feeling low, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling disappointed, when you're feeling nervous and anxious, learn to express it. Learn to talk to your spouse, right? Talk to your spouse. Maybe two lines, maybe three sentences. It's okay, but learn to talk. Have avenues in your life where, and I'm specifically talking to spouse, right? Married couples, or even with children. Have avenues where you're connecting with your spouse at least once during the week, where you can talk about what's happening in your heart. One of the things me and Deepa we started doing, and I'm terrible at this, right? And one of the things we started doing just in the lockdown, the last few months, we would go for a walk. I mean, we would go for a run actually, but anyway, but we would after the run, we would sit in a coffee shop. There's a nice coffee shop where we go for the run, and we just sit and talk, right? You won't believe this. Deepa actually was going through a tremendous sickness and all that stuff. But for her, that 2 months when we did that, it was emotionally such an uplifting thing for her. All we did, I didn't do anything. I didn't even plan it. All we did is we would go, I would run and she would walk and run and come back for half an hour, just sit there, have coffee, just connect, talk. She will talk most of the time and I just listen, I talk. There was some deep connection happening between us, right? Express honestly, learn to express honestly. And lastly, when your child is saying something, when your spouse is saying, when your friend is saying something, listen patiently. Don't dismiss the emotion. Don't dismiss it. Don't immediately say it's okay, don't be sad, it's okay, don't do it, it's okay, we'll pray. So don't do all these things, right? Listen. Listen to their heart. The reason why your child is crying is because they've something has hurt them that is valuable. They are hurt, right? The reason why your spouse is sad is because something they value and love is threatened, and that's why there's emotion. You listen to them. Don't fix it, right? Don't fix it. So cultivate curiosity, show empathy, express honestly, and listen patiently, right? And I'm happy to take some questions, and I hope you understand this, right? And I hope, and this is the last thing I want to say: emotions are not at the center of what love is, right? Emotions are not at the center, but emotions are a critical way of expressing your love and for connecting with others. So I hope this gives you. This is not. We are not solved anything, but we are just beginning a conversation. I hope you understand the value of emotions in relationships, and I hope you are able to have deep, meaningful relationships with people because you are willing to emotionally connect with them. All right? Okay, I'm done. Solomon. Thank you.